Now I'd like to insert the image we imported from our digital camera in the previous lesson. And so I'll call it up into the preview by double clicking on it. I'll locate to a position where I want the image to be inserted, and then I'll use Insert to Timeline. And now, as mentioned, I'd like to remove the black borders that appear on the left and right of the image. And there's a very nice function for doing this in EDIUS 6, and we find it in the Clip menu under Layouter. We can also call it up using the F7 key. So, my clip is selected, and now I'll call up the Layouter function. The Layouter window opens, and I'll adjust that for my display and my recording area. And here we can see a preview. In this section beneath it, we can see a form of timeline. And on the right of the preview, we can see various parameters. And before we start editing, I'll adjust the window of my Layouter to suit our needs. The first thing I'll do is shrink this timeline section with the mouse. I click on the dividing line with the mouse and drag it down whilst holding the left mouse button. We won't be needing this. And the next thing I'd like to do is to enlarge the preview section. And we can do this in various ways. One option is to use this selection field here to set the size. The graphic content will then be adjusted to this size. A nicer function is the fit function. When we use this, the preview will be enlarged to fit exactly into my window. As you can see, here in the Layouter, there's quite a selection of buttons up here, and on the right, we have a row of parameters. In this tutorial, we'll only discuss a few of them. In an expanded course discussing EDIUS 6, we will discuss all of the functions and possibilities available to you in the Layouter in a much more intensive way. In our case here, however, the only thing I'm interested in is setting the image size. And here, on the right side, in the parameters, we find the stretch option. For the minute, the value is 28.85%. This means my image is scaled down to approximately 29% of the original size. And this allows it to fit into my current video resolution. If I adjust this value, for example by clicking on it with the mouse and adjusting the value with the mouse, then I can see that the image gets larger. And if I specify the value to be something like 35%, I can see that the black border disappears, as my image has been enlarged so much that those borders have now been filled with the content of the image. However, I can also see in the preview section that some of the image is no longer visible. We can see the region is specified by this frame, and this section is outside of the frame, much like the one here above. So these aren't visible due to being outside of the visible region. I can, of course, adjust my image's position so that I can see the specific parts of the image I wish to, and I do this by grabbing and moving with the mouse to a new position. This could be like this, for example. And so I could adjust my image so that the size and also the position is exactly how I want it. But for the minute, I'm going to set everything back to how it was with the Reset All function here. Now we're back to where we started, and I'll show you how we can perform the same task but somewhat quicker. So what I want is that my image is enlarged so much that the left and the right borders disappear. And here in the stretch section, we can see these buttons. And this button specifies that I can enlarge the entire image in a horizontal manner. And now we can see that the entire image has been scaled so that the left and right edges don't have any borders anymore. And now I'd like to adjust the position. And instead of moving it with the mouse, as by doing so I might also move the horizontal position by mistake, I'd like to use this function. And this allows me to align the image automatically to, for example, the lower or upper screen border. In doing so, it's very easy to specify which section of the image I want to see. In my case, I'll opt for this option. To finish off, I can simply accept these changes with OK, and I can see that my clip has been updated in the timeline.